Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is, I think it's January the 17th, 2024. I forgot to check the date before I came, but I think I have it right. So I want to welcome all of you to my channel. Those of you that are regulars, I do appreciate you so much that you come back week after week and you comment and participate and all those things. But I also want to welcome new subscribers. I've had a number of new subscribers over the last month and a half to 2 months, and I hope you like what you see here. I'm all about showing finished objects and things that I am working on, and I have also started to be very busy in showing my yarn acquisitions. Now, my focus when it comes to yarn is hand-dyed yarn. I have fallen in love with hand-dyed yarn, the various types of yarns and the beautiful colors, and not all, but a lot of hand-dyed yarn comes in fingering weight, which I had never even seen or heard of or tried until the last few years. And I find that I like fingering yarn far more than I like working with worsted weight or number 4 weight. Or I work with 3 weights a bit, but that's kind of as far as I go most of the time. So I like to share what I know and find out about hand dyers. And lately, as those that have been with me a while know, I am really concentrating on Canadian dyers. And today's episode is, as the thumbnail said, it's all about the yarn. I have finished objects to show you. I'll talk about the yarn. I have yarn acquisitions. We'll talk about that yarn. And I thought I would also spend a little time talking about yarn in general, different kinds of yarns that are out there and what the benefit or the best qualities are of those yarns. So if you wanted to learn more about yarn, here's the place to be. Now, I often start with what I am wearing, and even though I had a finished object I would have liked to have worn today, I will wear it in a future episode. But I specifically wore this today because I was in a conversation with one of my viewers. I'm trying to remember, and I think Diane, it might have been you that we had the back and forth. I said I would wear this before the month was out, and I'll show you what I'm wearing. It's basically just a fairly plain asymmetrical triangle that gets wider to the end. So I can't even begin to tell you whose pattern it is. I did it quite a while ago, but the reason I said I would wear this is we got in a conversation about yarn dyers. I think it is you, Diane, from My Pink Bathtub Knits. And we were talking about different hand dyers, and the one I commented on that she had mentioned was Green Button Jar. And this yarn is from Green Button Jar. And I actually have a second skein, and we just fell on the floor here. I actually have a second skein of this yarn. I liked it so much that I ordered another skein of it. And the reason we got talking about it is simply that Green Button Jar is in Windsor. And this color, by the way, in case you're interested, is Bluebird of Love. And it is a 75-25 merino. It doesn't say nylon, but I know it's nylon. Merino nylon blend, fingering weight. And Green Button Jar is in Windsor. And Windsor is just across the border from Detroit, and it is an hour driving from where I live, and in fact, all of my family lives in the Windsor area, little suburbs and towns around Windsor. And we were talking about it, and I told her I actually went to a local yarn shop, a small yarn shop in a house in a little town called McGregor that's, again, about an hour from me, but not quite the same direction as Windsor. And when I was in that store, the woman had some of green button jars. Now, her logo has changed, but I'm sure some of you have seen her on Instagram, the green button jar. They had some of her yarn, and I made a comment that I liked her yarn. She was in Windsor, and she says, oh yeah, she comes here and participates in our knitting group, and she's a professor at the university in Windsor. And I was just saying that to Diane, I think, at the time, and I said I'd wear something I had made of hers, and I have other yarn of hers as well. So a dyer from Ontario. So I just wore that because I told Diane I would. So that's what I'm wearing today. Now let's talk about, get that out of the way. Let's talk about finished objects. Well, as you know, last week I told you how I was working with, okay, I'll keep going where I'm going so I don't confuse you. I was working on a pattern for a sweater, and of course, partway through I realized this pattern only would fit a certain size, and it wasn't size inclusive in any way. And so I changed what I was going to do with the pattern, and it was a hexagon. It was supposed to be a hexagon front and back that you joined at the sides. So you had a flat piece of the hexagon here and at the bottom, and then the slope part of the hexagon became the sleeves. It wasn't going to work, not for my size. So I folded it like most people do for the hexi cardigan. But I didn't want a cardigan, so I said I was going to make it into a pullover by seaming it. But of course I had to make some adjustments at the top in order to get my head through. In the end, I had it too wide. I took rows out, and then it became very tight going over my head. But I don't care. It fits otherwise, and it'll probably stretch after I put it on a few times. Now, I didn't wear it today simply because I wanted to remember to wear this. I'll wear it in a future week or two. But I will put a picture up here. I finished my sweater, and there it is on the mannequin, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It is a little bulkier underneath than I would have thought. And the one thing that I found unusual, and I have to think it's because I did the hexagon solid all the way around, whereas when you look at the hexagon cardigans that people make, and there are tons of them on YouTube and in Ravelry, they start with like it's not a granny square because it's not square, it's a hexagon, but they're doing the clusters like a granny square would be done. And when they fold it in half, they get a what looks like an L shape, definite L shape. Mine didn't. Mine was more slanted, like half of a hexagon. So I don't have a definite under the arm and straight down, and it's not, it goes straight in the center, but at the bottom it slants. So when I put it on, I have a bit of a peak point coming up front and back. I will show you in some detail when I wear it or when I have it. But I know I've made a hexi cardigan, and it was definitely very square, like an L shape, and this one wasn't, which gave me a lot more bulk in under the arms and at the side. But I don't care. You can say it's a bat wing sweater if you want, but I was really pleased to finish it, and I did wear it that evening. Then I had another finished object, which I won't be showing you because it is my January Mal item. And before I go any further, I want to remind you that, and if I have the opportunity, I'll put it across the screen, but it's always in my description box. If you make something for the mal, no matter what month you do, for the birds, it's going to be a mal this year, then you need, if you put it on Instagram, and I'm sure some of you will, you need to put in hashtag Judy's Mal 2024. I am going to show you something about my item, and that is I changed the yarn that I was going to use. I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 minis of bright colors with a black. It was more charcoal. And I just couldn't get inspiration. And then somebody used this yarn, and I said, oh, I have that yarn. I'm pretty sure it's you, Lynanne. And I went and got this out, and it is a ball of ice yarn. Now, I have ice yarn Picasso in 3 different colors, but I thought this was the brightest, and this is how much I had left of the first ball. They have 115 meters on it, so I probably used 100 meters, which is about 110 yards. So I used this along with Red Heart Soft in black, and it has 200 and I don't see it. Oh yeah, there it is. It has 256 yards, and I forgot to measure this, but this is what I have left. I used more black than I did the variegated color. So I'll be showing you that probably in 2 weeks' time, when it's time to do the unveiling of the January mal, January item. And I think some of you are having a good fun with all those bright colors. I've had a few submissions sent to me, and they're looking very pretty. So, but be prepared. It's going to be that bright all year long, pretty much. So anyhow, so that's the second item I finished. And I have a third item I finished this week. So let me back up and bring this in. I think you can see all of it. This looks like a shawl. You can take any shawl pattern you want. If I tip this up for a bit so you can see her head. Yes, I went and got one of my styrofoam heads and I glued it onto the mannequin. This is a big cowl, and it's made purposely so that it can become a hoodie. You can't quite see the top, but I think you get the idea. And I really like this. Now, it's not quite as wide as I would like it when I put it on. It's not as wide as I would like. But I really like this, and I'm going to make some more of these. I think they would be good items to sell at the craft show. They'd also be some good items to put in our giveaway. Now, this was made with one of my mill end merino, yarn art merino, you know, when Hirschner's had the yarn, Hirschner's had the mill end sale, and you could get the cotton and acrylic ones. Well, last fall sometime, they also had the merino ones, and they had the alpaca ones. And this is one of the merino ones. It goes all the way out to a beigey color, but I didn't use the whole thing. It's 650 some yards in it, and I have close to 200 yards left. So this would take about 450 yards. I'm going to make some more. I'm going to make one in Scarfy, and maybe another one of the merino cakes, or a whirligig cake or something. I really enjoyed this. There are quite a few patterns out there. This one was kind of made up as I went. I'd followed one pattern to know how big to make it and how many rows, but otherwise it was my own pattern. But I'm really pleased with that, and that's a great item that I am going to be good for, you know, if you have made something and had one cake left over, probably make it out of a mandala cake, and that would be nice and bright and colorful. So I'm going to be making more, and nice and warm and bulky around the neck for a cowl. Talk about cold. It's minus 11 here today. Was down to minus 17. Not my kind of weather. A little too cold for me. Anyhow, so those are the items I finished. And I even had time to get started, because I'll put this back down. I even had time to get started on my next sweater. As you know, this is going to be the year that I work on sweaters. So this is a YouTube tutorial. I will link the YouTube tutorial in the description box below. And I don't know the exact name of it. Something like easy top-down sweater. And I took it. I liked it specifically because the person made it with a latte cake. And you know how I love latte cakes. So here is the beginning. Starts with a rib neck area, and it's just double crochets working down, and she tells you, you know, how many, and she gives you a bit of a formula for this to work. And here's my latte cake. And the color for this latte cake is blackberry. You see, it's got sort of, well, here are the colors, purpley and pink and gray. So I just spent one evening on it so far. It's a very easy pattern, and I like how she explains it all. And she says she can do it in 2 cakes, but I have a feeling she made a medium. And of course, I'm a large, so I do have a 3rd cake in this. It's the one latte, not white, but it's the only latte in non-white that I had 3 cakes of. So I thought I would try it in this one first. And if you can make it in 2, I do have another color. And I am using my furls hook, and it is a number 5. I love my furls hooks, as you know. So I'm really pleased with how this is going, and I'm quite sure I will have it. Oh, it's going to be so soft and cuddly. I'm quite sure I'm going to have it finished for next week. And who knows, maybe I'll even have something else done depending on what I get working on. I have still been working, not every day, but I still work regularly on my cross stitch. And I've slowed down, but I still work a little bit on my diamond painting too. So those are things that I've worked on this week. Now, before I go on, because I skipped it at the beginning, I wanted to say thank you to a few people. Bring this up here. First of all, I have a lot of thank yous actually. First of all, I got some cards in the mail, and I want to thank these people. They are sending me thank yous for prizes they got. And like I said, I got 1 card before Christmas, first time I ever got a card, and now I've gotten a couple of cards. So this card is from Debbie P in Arizona. She won, I think she won one of the monthly MAL prizes at the end of the month. And I know that Lillian, she's in Ontario, she won one of the prizes at Christmas. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Lillian, didn't you win the knitting package on the 24th of December? So thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate you taking the time out to write me a card of thanks. It just means a lot to me. And another thank you I have to send out. You remember at Christmas, I got some gifts, I guess you would say, from people. I got, I'm trying to remember specifically. I did do one episode where people sent me thank yous. And after we did the 12 Days of Christmas, I gave out 5 free patterns to people. And that went well, no problem. And after it was all over, I got a notice from Etsy that somebody had given me a gift card to Etsy. Like, oh, I know, I got yarn from one person, and I got this sign from Cindy. I had gotten a couple of Christmas presents. Well, I got this Christmas present, and I didn't say anything at the time because I was waiting. I right away went and used the gift card, and it came from Cathy, who has a channel called Yarn with Heart. And Cathy, thank you so much. You know, you were very generous. You only won a very small prize, but I ordered a cake of yarn that came from Etsy. It came from Cyprus in this little bag, and this is the company name, Flows Yarns, and they are on Etsy, and I'll try to find the Etsy shop and put it down below. And the reason I ordered from her is I like the gradient cakes, and you can get lots from Yarn Art and Hirschner's and whatever, but I wanted a bit, you know, the really nice quality ones that people do by hand. And I've seen them different places, and they are not cheap. And I had this one in my basket for a while in my cart, and I decided to use that for this. I used your gift card, thank you very much, Cathy, to buy this yarn. It is 3-ply. It has a charm on the center pull. It is, I think I said 3-ply, and it has 4 colors in it. Green to blue to dark purple to a pinky purple. It's 100 meters, so it's fair, good length. And I did have to put a little money with it because these cakes are much more expensive than the ones you get from Yarn Art. They feel nicer as well. I don't think it says, oh yes, 50% cotton, 50% acrylic, but it just has a very nice soft feel. So thank you, Cathy. I put your gift card towards getting one of these, and I'm very happy with it. It came relatively quick, given it came from Cyprus during all of the Christmas rush. So thank you, and this is one that I will use sooner than later. Okay, now I've had another gift in a way. I just have people have been so generous lately. So I'm going to get into a little bit of, that was an acquisition in a way. So I'm going to keep going with another acquisition. Only one. I have 2 to show you today, but I'll do one now, and then I'll do something else and come back. At Christmas time, if you remember, we did 4 different Advent calendars with minis, and one of the Advents I did was from Baralis, who is, are they on Etsy? Yes, they are on Etsy, and I'll put them down below. And that was the Advent calendar. That was all of the sparkle yarns that, you know how much I enjoy my sparkle yarn. Well, apparently some of you liked it as well, and you went to their Etsy shop, and I think there was more than one of you. I think there were a couple, 2, 3 of you that went and possibly bought some yarn. And I think somebody, when they bought the yarn, mentioned that they had heard or seen them on my channel. And I'm not just too sure the sequence now. I think they said something to me. And they, gee, I wish I could remember her name. I think it's Allison. Allison and her daughter. Anyway, Baralis is a mother-daughter team, I think, and they started watching my 12 Days of Christmas. Well, in the meantime, somebody else, was it you, Diane? I don't know. Somebody else told me that Baralis had a little bit of a sale and I might want to check it out. So I went on Etsy and I found a couple of yarns that were on sale. Only a couple. I only wanted a couple. And this is what I bought. I got 2 skeins in different colors in sparkle. Now they are, one is purple, the other is silver. They are 425 yards, 84 merino, and 10% stellina. So this is the silver, gray. And I know you can see that sparkle. And this is the purple. Well, the interesting thing is, isn't that a pretty color of purple? Kind of goes with that up there, doesn't it? Very pretty color of purple. Well, the funny thing is, this was after I had finished my advents. And when I made this order, and these were, normally I think they're 30 and they were for $22 or $23. I was quite happy at the price. And the shipping, this comes vacuum sealed, so the shipping was quite inexpensive as well. And she made a comment to me when I made this purchase. She says, "Do you know what we were up to? How could you know that?" And I said, I don't know. She said they had already watched half of my 12 Days of Christmas, and they were going to watch the rest, and they said they wanted to thank me for mentioning them in my Christmas videos. They really appreciated the advertising for them, and so her and her daughter were busy dyeing me up a special color. I thought, oh, well, that should be interesting. I wonder what my special color is. But I thought, you know, if they watched that series, they would get a good feel for what my colors were, because I mentioned it a few times. And they sent this, but the other wasn't done yet, she said. So it was drying, and it came a week later. And this is what they sent me as a gift. Purple. It would go with those up there too, but not the same color, totally different. Maybe they saw that I had bought this color, so they did a different color of purple and sparkles. So they were paying attention. And wow, I am touched that you are willing to do that, especially to special dye a color just for me. So I don't know how to say thank you. I am just tickled pink that somebody would do that for me. And I'm glad they enjoyed what I had to say about their yarn on my channel, because those of you that watched through the 12 Days of Christmas know how much I enjoyed this yarn. And I'm going to put that gray and purple together in something. This one, I'm going to look a little farther for maybe more than one to go there. Maybe I'll do it by itself. I don't know. That's the beauty of all this beautiful yarn. I can take my time and figure out what I like and what I want to make. I also want to give you an update on the video I did about whips, which I call UFOs. This is a whip. I'm working on it. It's in progress. Something that sits over there, it's a UFO because it's sort of been forgotten about. But as you know, I went through it all and I figured out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to frog. And I had one that I was uncertain about. And after the fact, I went looking. It used this yarn. And maybe one time I'll bring up the little case you buy these in and you get 4 of them. I do not have 4 of these. I don't know where the other 2 went. And so the top that I started, I couldn't finish anyway because I wouldn't have enough with two, because there's only 350 meters, 370 yards, 375, or probably 380 yards. But 2 times that is not enough to make me a top, not even a tank top. So I frogged it. I have these 2 balls, and I'm trying to decide if I will put them in with some other colors to make something, or if I will put them in the de-stash pile. I'll decide that later. So I did frog that one top that I didn't know what to do about. Then I have done my destashing. I've done more destashing, which we'll talk about. We'll wait a few weeks or a month before I talk about that. But I cleaned up the room and got all of my project bags organized, and all of the whips or UFOs that I intend to do, I got them all organized. And I'm thinking next week I will show you more about that in a minute. So the thing I wanted to do today, I keep throwing things on the floor. The thing I wanted to do today is something I've wanted to do for a while, and that is to talk about yarn. Now, yarn is an all-inclusive term for anything that you buy to knit or crochet, etc. with. So yarn includes wool. Yarn is either animal-based or plant-based. And I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that were like me until a few short years ago, that you went to Michael's or whatever store you had handy, and you looked around and you bought the yarn you could. Now, if you have a wool allergy, you would pay a little more attention and make sure you bought acrylic instead of wool. And some of you were aware of cotton. I was aware of cotton, but mostly in my mind, cotton was for making dishcloths and that kind of thing, which I have no interest in. Cotton comes from plants, and wool comes from animals. Today I wanted to talk about wool, its properties, and the various animals it does come from, but I also want to talk about a few plant-based yarns as well. Wool comes, I'm going to be reading a lot. I hope you will forgive me, but there's no way I know all of this. Wool comes from a variety of animals and therefore varies in quality. And the wool in the store-bought yarns generally is not specific. Now, if your store carries Lion Brand and Lion Brand puts out one that's called alpaca, well, of course, then it's a better quality. But otherwise, it's just your run-of-the-mill wool from sheep. Some qualities of wool, you may not know this, in general, is that wool is breathable, it's odor resistant, and it can absorb moisture and then moves it away to evaporate. So if you're wearing something wool, and it will take the moisture off your skin and help it to evaporate. Some wools generally pill easily, and if it's true strictly wool, it's often scratchy, and it will shrink or felt if washed in hot water. You know if there's wool in something, you better read the laundry instructions very closely. It is always best to hand wash in cool water and lay flat to dry. But what about if you have wool allergies? And what I have read, although I've heard a lot of people say they have wool allergies, it's not really the wool they are allergic to. It is the lanolin that is a protective waxy layer that covers each strand of the hair, and it's specific to sheep. So, and they also, from what I've read, say that they don't occur all that often, but they are on the rise, and I think that has to do with, you know, our environment. So that's kind of what you would buy in a big box store. Now you can buy pure wool and good yarn too, but that's what's in the big box stores, have wool and acrylic and some cottons. But I want to talk about what I call the luxury yarns. So we would start off with, just a minute, natural fibers. So we're going to start off with merino. Everybody is aware of merino, and it can be merino or superwash merino. Merino is softer than just regular wool because it is finer, and it's a better quality than sheep found in most of our local farmers' fields. Superwash means the scales from each hair have been removed through a process, which, excuse me, makes it even smoother and makes it machine washable, but still in cool water. But as a result, it doesn't absorb as much moisture and it's not as warm. Okay, merino is what we all know about. So I want to move on to some of the other animals that we get yarn from. You see all of this back here. I have one that is a mixture of merino nylon, but most of the others are some other kind of yarn or some other kind of wool. They are not from sheep. So I'm going to start with a general category and then break it down. The first category is cashmere, alpaca, and mohair. And why are they seen as luxury fibers? And of course, when you're talking luxury, they're more expensive. While all three are considered warmer than sheep's wool. So if you live in the South, you probably don't use these as much. But they are lighter than sheep's wool. So you don't get the weight, but you get more warmth. They won't make you sweat in hot water. And they are hypoallergenic, soft, and durable. Those three in a category. Now I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to start with mohair. And I have two things. I did a lot of research on this a couple years ago because I put this information on my Facebook business page because I wanted people to understand that went to my business page where I was trying to sell my items, why the prices were what they were. You know, you don't think to spend $50 on, you know, a scarf you made from yarn at Michael's. But I wanted them to understand that I might be using alpaca, or I might be using mohair, or something more expensive, cashmere, those kinds of things. So anyway, I'm starting with mohair, and I don't have that there. Mohair, which comes from the Angora goat, is known for its luster and being soft like silk. I wish I'd now thought ahead and brought in a few of the things I made, but just recently, if you recall, I made the shawl in browns with a single strand of mohair. Very fine, a little harder to work with, a lot of little fibers, hard to frog, but I'm going to start putting mohair. I'm going to show you mohair a little later in this episode. I'm going to start putting mohair with other yarns. It's known for its luster and being soft like silk. It is the most elastic fiber, so it will spring back into shape and can be twisted without damage to the fiber. Therefore, it's the most durable, but it's not as soft as cashmere or alpaca. It doesn't irritate the skin, even if you are sensitive to wool. So that's mohair, and I'm going to show you some in a bit. Cashmere. Cashmere is considered soft, lightweight, insulating, and durable. So what I have here, cashmere, comes from the neck of the cashmere goat, and it is the thinnest wool in the world. Remember, I got some cashmere from Temu, and they actually they can make it thicker because they put other things in it, but I got some cashmere thread. It was very, very thin. And cashmere is actually not wool, but hair. I've even seen people now using the hair of their dogs and getting it spun and hand dyed. It comes in different qualities, and the highest quality thus is the most expensive. Cashmere is renowned for its softness, its lightweight feel, providing warmth without bulk. This fiber offers excellent insulation, keeping the wearer warm in cold conditions. Cashmere garments are long-lasting and retain their luxurious feel with proper care. So that's cashmere. And the third from this group that I was talking about is alpaca. And alpaca seems to be a little bit more common than some of the others. Alpaca, of course, comes from the alpaca, which is part of the camel family. And it's thinner than mohair, very close to cashmere, but not quite that thin. It stays clean a long time and has a natural silky shine that doesn't disappear with wear. Alpaca is known for its softness, its insulating, and its hypoallergenic quality. So those of you that are allergic to wool, look into alpaca. Alpaca fiber is incredibly soft and luxurious. Alpaca fibers have hollow cores, which provide excellent thermal insulation in both cold and warm weather. It is also less likely to cause allergies due to the lack of lanolin, which makes it suitable for sensitive skin. One other thing, and I don't have it in my notes, but I came across it just in the last couple of months, is you hear about alpaca and baby alpaca. And I think a lot of people think alpaca comes from an alpaca, but baby alpaca comes from their young, the baby alpacas. And that is not the case. Baby alpaca doesn't come from the babies. Baby alpaca the way I understood it, because I don't remember what exactly they said, baby alpaca is a finer, softer, better quality of alpaca, and it comes from a different place, the thinner hair, you might say, of the alpaca than the regular part of the alpaca that's used for alpaca wool. So it's maybe closer to the skin. It's the finer fibers that when you take fiber from the alpaca, you get the finer ones and then the little bit heavier. And baby alpaca is the finer fibers. Okay, so that leaves that category. Next, I want to talk about camel. And a lot of people, now I know you, having watched me, know that you can get yarn from a camel, but a lot of people wouldn't think so. Camel is, I think I have two, yeah. Camel is known for being insulating, breathable, and water resistant. Camel, again, also has excellent thermal insulation properties, providing warmth in the cold, and its fibers allow air circulation, preventing overheating and promoting comfort. Camel fiber is naturally water resistant, which makes it suitable for various weather conditions. My research found that camel is strong, luxurious, smooth, warm, and lightweight. So again, it's finer than merino and it feels as soft as cashmere. The camel itself is thermal regulated, so its coat is also. Not only does it provide warmth in cold weather, it cools in hot temperatures. It's so, you know, you could get a camel yarn. I have here a whole bin of what's called Oasis fingering. This is camel and silk. We'll talk about silk in a minute. Camel, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Camel is also naturally water resistant. I mentioned that. So it's, I'm on the wrong page. It's warm yet breathable, so when combined with other fibers, it supplies warmth without added weight. So generally you don't get 100% camel, just like I got these back here that are camel silk, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You get camel combinations. So those are the different wools that I wanted to talk about today. Hang on just a second. Leave the ball alone. You do not need it. I have a little container of remnant balls and he decided he had to get in it. Okay. Now, those are all animal-based yarns. Next, I want to talk about some plant-based yarns and some of the, one more wool. I forgot to mention yak. I have not yet worked with yak, but I do have some. And yak properties are warmth, softness, durability, and moisture wicking. Yak is known for its exceptional warmth, which makes it suitable for cold climates. And the fiber is soft, strong, and resistant to pilling. That's a good thing. And it ensures durability over time. Yak fibers can absorb moisture without feeling damp, and they keep the wearer dry and comfortable. Yak, when I buy from Expression Fiber Arts, their yak is their most expensive yarn that I've seen so far. Okay, leaving behind the animal base, let's go to the plant base. So we have things like cotton and silk and bamboo. Those are the things that I'm going to talk about here today. Cotton is considered breathable, soft, comfortable, and versatile. Cotton is highly breathable, allowing air circulation and moisture evaporation to help keep the body cool. This fiber is gentle on the skin and provides a comfortable wearing experience. Cotton is versatile and it's easily blended with other materials. I never enjoyed just working with cotton, but you're going to find it's starting to become more prevalent that they're mixing cotton with other fibers. Once again, this is a good example. I have Moon Gleam from Expression Fiber Arts, which is a mixture of cotton and silk, and it feels heavenly. Then we also have mulberry silk. And mulberry silk, there are other silks too, but mulberry silk is the highest quality of silk available, and it gets mixed with a number of things. So I have mulberry silk with merino, mulberry silk with camel, mulberry silk with cotton. I think I have silk with merino and cashmere. So silk is very common. And what's its property? It is the most durable and produces the most luxurious silk goods. That's mulberry silk. It is fine, lustrous, strong. It's a strong protein fiber with great tenacity and better draping. Anything that has mulberry silk in it is wonderful. And in fact, I even have one yarn from EFA that is 100% mulberry silk. Very silky, great drape. Next, we talk about bamboo, and it has excellent permeability and stretch ability. It has high moisture wicking abilities, and it is very soft. Good point to know, it is antibacterial, a great insulator. It gives UV protection and is easy to dye. Therefore, it is softer than cotton with a texture similar to a blend of cashmere and silk. So that's that's pretty much. The other thing I have about silk says it gives it an elegant appearance. The silk allows air to circulate, and it's good for sensitive skin. So that's pretty much the information I have on the various plant and animals. The other thing I want to mention is you'll often get nylon included, especially with a wool. A wool nylon blend is soft and supple, and nylon is added to give strength and durability to the item. It has many of the same properties as wool, but it is more flexible. And that's why you'll find it very common that you buy a merino nylon blend to make something like socks. It needs to be more durable and stronger. So I don't know if this was something you wanted to know, but I thought it was something I wanted to share with you so you would be, I guess, a more informed consumer and maybe understand why some of these yarns are more expensive than just going to the big box stores and buying what they have. Although some of the big box stores now have some of these nicer yarns, and maybe you can understand why they are a little more expensive. And it is the high quality yarns that people are dyeing. Although I just saw recently there is somebody out there who is starting to dye acrylics. So it'll be interesting to see if that becomes another trend in the yarn market or the hand dyeing market, if we're going to see acrylics join them. Now, I know I've taken a fair bit of time, but I have one more acquisition that I want to show you and talk about, because I've been putting this off since, well, before Christmas, and I know I have some other yarn coming in the mail. I want to talk about the yarn subscription. I did talk about one yarn subscription, and I have more to say about it possibly next week, and I have some others coming. So probably we're going to show you those next week. So I thought I'd put this one off long enough. I'm going to show you this acquisition. And this acquisition comes from a place called Remy's Rovings and Yarn. Remy's Rovings and Yarn is in Manitoba, and it's the one I meant to say when I was talking about one before Christmas. I said was in Manitoba, and it wasn't. It was in Alberta. So here's her card, and it goes with one of these. I think it goes with, oh, this one. Yeah. She also is, I don't know if she's a breeder, but she has standard poodles. So everything from her has a poodle. So for example, every skein of yarn has a charm that is a poodle. But before I look at the yarn, she always sends extras. So I got a sticker, and I got a button upside down, which also says her name, and I got a piece of candy cane and a little I guess a key tag, key fob, and then I got this, and this I'm going to put to use right away. It opens and it has a cushion in it, a place for needles. Can you see, like a pin cushion? And this would be perfect for my cross stitch. So that's going up by the cross stitch, and it is, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a llama. Although, you know, I have trouble knowing the difference between a llama and an alpaca. But anyway, I ordered some yarn from her on having heard about her from Diane at My Pink Bathtub Knits. I will link her down below. That came from Baralis. And so here's the first one I got, and I had to get this. Where's the one that tells me what's in it? I had it in my hand here a minute ago. Oh, here. And Arlene is the owner. Can you see the fuzzy fuzzy? This is 80% merino, 10% mohair, and 10% cashmere. This is heavenly soft. I'm thinking that cashmere is probably my favorite. Is so soft, so fuzzy, and you're going to think I was on a pink binge when you see what I have here today. These, I got 2 of these because they were each 50 grams, and I find 50 grams isn't really enough to make anything. 50 grams is 350 meters, so I have 700 meters. Well, this will make a shawl. That's pretty. So that's the first thing I got, was this. Then I got this skein, and you know, pink isn't my favorite, but I do enjoy pink. But I got this one, I'm sure you can tell, because of the sparkles. It's called Barbie. That's the color name. Did this have a color name? Oh yeah, Pinky Mouse. That last one was Pinky Mouse. This is Barbie, and it's 84 superwash merino and stellina, and then 16% nylon. It has 380 meters in it. And I'm probably going to put this with something else, something darker. It was quite pretty, and the sparkles, of course, did it for me. But the reason I really went to buy something there was she had mohair. Now, I'm thinking these may be, oh, they're kid mohair, and they have more in it, yeah. Mohair, and I wanted to try more mohair, and I haven't ever had mohair with sparkle in it. You know how sparkle's going to grab me. So I first got this skein that is 50% kid mohair, 30% acrylic, 12% lurex. That would be the sparkles. And this is a 50 gram skein, and it has 400 meters in it. Now I'm going to get back to this in just a minute. I ordered, this was in my cart for quite a while, unbeknownst to me. And then when Diane mentioned this company, and I went back and saw I had this, that's what made me finish the order. This is exactly the same as the last one, but it is called Candy Cane, no surprise, because it has the candy cane colors in it. And so I have 800 meters here. But my intention with these is to put them with something else, because kid mohair is very fine, and it's pretty much like that mohair I worked with before. It's very, you won't want to frog this. It's very clingy because of the halo. And I ordered, if you remember, I ordered this white from Temu, and I said I ordered more. And I have a white coming from EFA as well. And I'm going to put this with 1 strand, maybe even 2 strands of white. And the same with this. I'm going to put it with white to make something. Now this one will have to be smaller. There's only 400 meters, but I have 800 meters of this, which will make a lovely size shawl. And I'm going to put it with white. I might even get out one of my acrylic whites to put it with, because this is so fine. And again, every one of them has a poodle charm on them. So that's my acquisition to show you for this month. As I said, she is on Etsy. I will put a link down below, and she's in Manitoba, one of my new Canadian dyers that I'm starting to look for. And I have some more yarn coming from Canadians, and I'm just going to mention quickly, I actually made an order from Australia, and I'll tell you about that later. So next week, what am I doing for next week? Well, I'm going to finish off my sweater for sure. And you asked when, I think it was when I did the live with Gina, you asked to see my sewing room or my yarn room, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to take time next week to show you my yarn room, plus outside my yarn room, all of my, you won't see all the yarn, but you'll see how I store my yarn and how much yarn I really have. So that's what the plan is for next week. And I'm sure I'll have another acquisition to show you. And I want to tell you more about the other yarn subscriptions that I have signed up for. And I want to remind you very quickly that the live with Gina is coming up on the 27th of this month, only 10 days from now, as the kickoff to our big MAL. So I hope I'm going to see you at that live. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention is last week I talked about starting a Ravelry thread where you can go and chat amongst yourselves and ask questions and show what you're making. And I'm really happy to say that a number of people have gone already. I hope more of you will go to the Ravelry thread where people have been showing some of the things they're making and introducing themselves and telling us where they're from. And I'm quite happy with how that's being used. I hope it will get used more. So if you want to see my yarn room, I guess we will see you back here next week. And until then, happy hooking.